All right, welcome to episode 11XI. The Heroes You Deserve. I'm Henry.
I'm Mike.
I'm Richard.
And we are going to talk about Doctor Strange. We watched the trailer and we're going to give you our opinion. So I know Doctor Strange is not a very well-known character for non-comic book readers. So I guess we'll go down the line here and everyone just kind of tell us all you know about Doctor Strange. Mike.
I know he plays sort of second fiddle to a lot of the main characters in probably every story arc I've read. He has his hand in it. Anytime something magical or mystical or someone needs teleportation somewhere, out comes Doctor Strange to make that happen with his trademark hand gesture, his Eye of Agamotto brooch, which is really impressive. But his properties have not, in my opinion, really been all that strong. His solo projects, I mean, he's a hard character to flesh out beyond, I know magic, I can make magic-y things happen. Sure. So that's sort of my exposure to him. I know he was a member of the Illuminati. Am I wrong?
Correct.
So he played a major role in the World War Hulk saga, and the
Infinity Gems at one point.
Correct. So again, if you're introducing him, it's I have a hard time wondering why they gave him his own film. I really did like his origin story,
Which we'll get to.
Yeah, but I've seen it before in the animated film, so from what I've seen so far, it looks like that's what we're getting. So far it looks like
an origin story.
This is obviously an origin story, but what I know of Doctor Strange, I saw in the trailer so far. So that's my exposure to him.
Richard, what do you think? How familiar are you with Doctor Strange?
I am not at all.
Is he a stranger to you?
Total stranger. I don't know anything about him. I know what he looks like, and that's basically it. I don't know that I've ever remembered reading any of his books. I definitely don't know any of the supporting cast. I don't know who his bad guys are.
Right. I mean, he's not a household name. So Doctor Strange, Wong, Baron Mordo, Dormammu, Clea, and that's about it. I mean, the Eye of Agamotto, Vishanti, the Cloak of Levitation. He has the I forgot the name of the house that he lives in, but I mean that's all I know. And you said I've collected some of the comic books and I've seen the movie, but what is the origin story for Doctor Strange? I mean, since you've seen the movie.
Right, Doctor Strange is an actual medical doctor, not unlike Dr. Ken Jeong, only far less funny. So he is in a horrible car accident, and
because he's arrogant, he's a douche as a doctor.
Yeah, no, he's great. He's
Dr. Douche.
He's like House before House got bent on drugs, only a surgeon. So he is a bad person who's very self-centered. And then he loses the one thing that makes him special, which is his hands, his gifted hands. Right. So they're badly damaged in an accident. And after that, he's sort of a shell of himself. So he travels the world looking for a means of repairing himself. Going when Western medicine fails him, he moves on to Eastern medicine, to alternative paths, to homeopathic things, which leads him on the path to mysticism. And lo and behold, it wasn't a load of hooey like he thought it was. I mean, it was really his last-ditch effort at fixing himself. But in doing so, he finds the better part of him that was sort of underneath. What drove him to be an excellent surgeon was actually a positive motivating source that his ego sort of got in the way of. So as a character, he's actually pretty solid. Just
a tale of redemption,
correct. I mean, like you watch this guy, he's at the top, but he's terrible. He falls hard and then builds himself back up a better man. Who doesn't like a story like that? We'd all like to think that would be us, if we were put in a similar situation. It's, the better part of us would hopefully come through and everyone would be better for it. Whatever good you came out of on the other end of it would be put to a better use, somehow assisting your fellow man somehow, or doing charitable works, that sort of thing. If I were to right now lose my job, but then go back to school and learn something awesome that could then be applied to the world. That would be the Doctor Strange origin story, only far less interesting.
Dr. Mike.
Dr. Mike.
So yeah,
I like
so
that.
he trained under the Ancient One,
Ancient.
and a fellow student was Baron Mordo. And I guess when they were both training side by side, it was revealed or discovered that Strange was a sorcerer supreme, which I guess there's one every generation or so, multi-generation. And of course, Baron Mordo was just upset that
Super salty.
right, that the Ancient One and all the years that he's been training for magic, to find out that this newcomer, this upstart that just was a doctor, comes in and he's the sorcerer, and so he becomes mad and upset. And
So he's Johnny Lawrence.
I don't catch that reference.
Karate Kid.
Oh yeah, sure,
Sweep the leg.
yeah. So he's Baron Mordo and just becomes evil, and that's it. That's your Strange story right there.
I feel like we've seen that story before, though.
Animation, I think.
No, but that
inter-
specific thing,
Sure.
you know, two students,
Right.
one of them excels past the other.
Yes.
You look at Storm Shadow. And,
Right. Yes, totally.
I mean, that played out exactly like
Yeah.
that.
Right, and I think the only recent news and we saw a teaser trailer. I think the recent news that has caused a slight bit of controversy is the cast of the Ancient One is this old ancient Asian man, and in the trailer it's Tilda Swinton, and so people are kind of
Well,
upset.
fairly androgynous woman, to be fair.
Right? I mean, that character
But
can be,
but not Asian, to be fair.
Nope, not in the least.
well, I think maybe they can use the technology to make her Asian.
Yeah, the Ghost in the Shell
Sure,
technology, of course.
Terrible idea. To never do that.
Rich, so since you're not too familiar, and I think we've told the whole story here practically, but what's your general impression of the trailer? I mean, does it tell you a lot? Does it make you want to see it? Are you curious or not even? I mean, what?
It reminded me of 3 movies:
Inception.
Inception,
Well, yeah, there's obvious imagery that lends itself to that.
Interstellar, and Batman Begins.
Okay.
No
okay.
coincidence, all directed by Christopher Nolan. I don't know who this director is. I have no idea who's directing the movie, but I'm assuming he's not Marvel's not known for hiring established directors, because Feige really wants to control the narrative, and it's working for him right now with the Russo brothers. But every other named director has pretty much left the stable, and so they just snagged this guy. I don't know what his name is, and then Coogler, who directed Creed, will be doing Black Panther. But I think right now it's the Russo brothers and like other guys. And this guy, I mean, it looks okay. I just, and the Matrix. I saw a little bit of the Matrix there, the whole Asian fighting arena, and, teach me.
That
and-
did feel like Morpheus.
yeah,
versus
it was
Neo, didn't it?
I didn't feel anything terribly original when I saw this. It just seemed,
Well, that aside, I mean, as a film, that looked like something that you'd find, entertaining.
I've
Maybe
said this
you-
from the beginning. I'm not really much for these types of stories, and it's not just because it's Marvel. I really didn't get into Constantine either, and that's just not my thing.
So the supernatural just
it's-
isn't in your wheelhouse as far as.
I'll watch it, but I'm not like, holy crap, I gotta watch it. And now if it's good, and I sort of enjoyed the Keanu Reeves Constantine movie. I mean, there was some things that I liked about it. But it was just kind of, and then the TV show, I maybe watched the first 3 or 4 episodes, and then it was kind of like, meh, it's just not my thing. So that's kind of the same reaction I had with this one. It was just kind of like, I guess, I'm not all that interested. That's always been kind of like the ace up Marvel's sleeve, as this, their uncanny ability to create characters that people can relate to. And you have, but now here is their first almost DC-ish kind of character, who's this like all-powerful, very powerful character. And he's arrogant, and sure, kind of he finds his Boy Scout way towards the end, but it'll be interesting to see if, the whole, well, we like Marvel more because they're relatable characters. We'll see how relatable this guy is, because I don't get a Peter Parker, Wade Wilson,
yeah, he's not
Steve
that.
Rogers. I don't get a vibe like from this guy. I mean, the only thing he's got going for them is that it's Benedict Cumberbatch. and people are going to like it because it's him, not necessarily because
Well, that's a
he's
good
Stephen
get,
Strange.
man. As far as
Now, I'm not a
getting weird.
fan. I'm not a fan of Benedict Cumberbatch. I've seen 2 seasons of Sherlock, and I prefer Elementary. I think he
Blasphemy.
overacts. And I saw him in Star Trek, and I thought he was just playing Sherlock, but talking slower. I don't know. I don't get it, but I know that there is a big fan following.
I believe they're called Cumberbitches.
Cumberbitches,
That's right.
and
He also
that's
can't
great.
pronounce the word penguin. Google that. That's a thing. He cannot pronounce the word penguin.
And I just, for me, he's not my thing. Like there's a lot of things going against this movie in particular. I mean, I'm watching it obviously. I don't not watch movies, but I'm not super excited about this one.
It's funny you
just
mentioned
okay.
that he skewed very DC as far as the type of character he is, because I completely agree with that.
Yeah.
Because DC is historically, that's where you go to for your supernatural type
Yeah.
characters. Your John
Or
Constantine, the Phantom Stranger.
powerful, yeah, these
you know.
kind of powerful characters, and he almost feels more like a DC character. And I think that they're probably introducing him. I know you said, well, I don't know why they're making this movie, and I honestly don't know either. Other than they need him
Well, you
to
couldn't
fight.
shoehorn this
Well,
origin into another film is a problem.
I think they need him to fight the Infinity War, though.
Well, no.
I think that's what they're doing.
Well, I think
They're setting him up for the future.
it's because when you look at Marvel versus DC, 20 years ago, before Iron Man, if you asked a non-comic book reader, name me comic book characters, they would name Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, Spider-Man, and Hulk.
Probably.
Right?
And one of the Wolverine, maybe.
Maybe. Yeah, I'll give you that.
One of the X-Men.
Sure. So I think 20 years ago, those were the 5 or 6 comic book characters that people could name back then. So I think...
I don't know. Deadpool was that popular back then?
right?
though?
No, not
Okay.
even. But I think as Marvel's doing more movies, they did Iron Man, which has brought him to the top of the chain, I guess you could say. But I think I kind of lost my train of thought. Okay, as Marvel does more movies, they're running a top tier movie. So I know we question why they're doing Doctor Strange or why they're doing Black Panther and Guardians of the Galaxy that most people don't know. Well, at least they've done how many 15, 20 Marvel movies. So they've run out of top tier and their sequels, and they're moving on to the B characters and the C characters.
With the success of Guardians of the Galaxy, I think they're more willing to roll the
Right.
dice on sort of B-list properties that maybe nobody knows about.
Right. So they're taking chances on unknowns and hopefully bringing it up to B or C status. But when you look at DC, the only DC movies that's been done: Superman,
And Batman.
3 versions, Batman, and
Several versions.
several versions,
Green Lantern.
and a Green Lantern, and a Constantine. I mean, that's it. I mean. So I know we complain sometimes Marvel's doing
We got a
unknown
Swamp
movies.
Thing movie. We got 2 of those.
That's right. But DC is just doing the same 2 over and over again. So, DC will eventually get to a point where they're doing movies that most people have not heard of, and we're going to be saying the same thing.
And Marvel will definitely continue to be making movies that don't always have to hit.
Sure.
You know,
I mean, they've
people-
done 20 movies. Some are really good. And
I want to see a
some-
Booster Gold movie, man.
Oh, I do too.
There's talk that there may be
Make that happen,
may be
somebody,
happening.
Blue
Well,
and the gold. It needs to be Booster Gold and Blue Beetle.
no. The rumor is Legends of Tomorrow. I want to say has signed Patrick Adams,
Patrick Adams?
the guy from Suits. Is it Patrick Adams? Patrick something.
The USA show, right?
Yeah, the younger guy from Suits. Not
Okay.
not Harvey, but Mike Ross.
Well, he's bound to show up in Legends of
And
Tomorrow.
a lot of people are speculating that he's going to be playing Booster Gold, and that's going to change the direction of Legends of Tomorrow.
And somebody said, one of the DC people said that. All right, Rich, what were you going to say?
No, I'm just
Reeling it back into
I'm just
Doctor
reeling
Strange.
it back into
Sure.
Doctor Strange.
My apologies.
Just looking at the trailer, talking about the trailer, it just seems like an odd choice. I personally would have much preferred, maybe a Moon Knight movie.
Oh God, yes.
I just find him more interesting and more relatable.
But doesn't he skew a little too Batman?
Well, but
A crazy Batman, though.
yeah,
Oh, yeah,
I
batshit
think
crazy
I
Batman.
think he'd be a much more interesting choice. But like I said, I think they're introducing Doctor Strange, one because he was a very vital part to the comic book Civil War storyline. Granted, they are not doing that story in the Civil War movie. Yes, a lot of the critics are coming up, and it's like 100% on Rotten Tomatoes. It's an amazing movie, awesome, awesome, awesome. But it's not Civil War. It's their version of Civil War. And so maybe a lot of the comic book purists who are very like, how dare you, this is not Civil War. It's not at all Civil War. And some critics even questioned why they even...
MCU version of it.
Yeah, they even questioned why they even called it that story. But regardless, in the comics, Doctor Strange was very important to that story, from what I understand. And yet, he's not around now, but they are getting ready to fight the Infinity War. And from what I understand...
He's very important in that one.
He has to be.
Yes.
And so, they're not going to... They have to introduce him at some point. And if the movie is a smashing success or not, I think it will be just like an Ant-Man type of a movie, I think. I don't know. I think Ant-Man was
they should hope so. That was a hell of a film.
Well, I mean, money-wise. I mean, Ant-Man wasn't
Profitable,
Ultron. Wasn't
least.
I don't. It's not going to be Age of Ultron. It's not going to be one of those types of movies. But
it's not their big tentpole film either. They're not selling it that way either.
Well, I don't know. It has these Inception moments. These like boom. It feels very Inception-y. It feels very Matrix-y.
Well, that's
but it's a teaser. It is a teaser. But I have not seen anything yet to get excited about. And if people are getting excited...
I'll tell you one thing you saw to get excited about.
Tell me.
Rachel McAdams.
I hope she's not playing another Natalie Portman.
Well, she's a love interest.
I hope she's not another Natalie Portman because I would feel so bad for her. She's a great actress, and she needs to be doing stuff, not just being the love interest.
She's going to be doing strange stuff,
I'll drink to that.
I'm not going to.
Well, that's going to give you something to look forward to. Rachel McAdams.
I'm watching that movie for Rachel McAdams.
That's right.
And I hope this is not a movie that she regrets the way Natalie Portman did. And I hope she doesn't fight and scream to get off of the sequel the way Natalie Portman tried. And now, by the way, it was announced.
They just start hating money all of a sudden?
Well, it's just, I think it was just a bad experience for her. And now apparently they've signed Tessa Thompson, who was the love interest in Creed. She is now going to be the new love interest for Thor in Ragnarok. Mm-hmm. There was not going to be any more, whatever her name is, Natalie Portman.
Jane Foster.
Yeah, she will no longer be in the movies. Mm-hmm. And people are like, well, what the hell? We can't have Lady Thor now.
She's busy doing science stuff. Yeah.
So now we're going to have a new love interest for Thor. Yes. And so I hope Rachel McAdams is at least given something to do.
But do you know who that actress is going to play?
Enchantress.
No, I believe she's going to play Valkyrie.
People are speculating it's Enchantress, but we'll see. Yes, there are two Enchantresses.
Yeah, the DC and the Marvel.
Yeah.
Previous episode.
Who would have thought?
Right.
But yeah, I don't know. Like I said, based on the trailer, just looking at it, it's cool. I mean, I guess it reminds me of The Matrix. It reminds me of Inception. Sure. It's got Cumberbatch in an American accent that sounds very much like Hugh Laurie from House. If you actually listen to it again.
Wow, I hadn't at all considered that.
You mentioned House.
Absolutely right. I did.
You mentioned House, and I thought it sounds just like Hugh Laurie.
I didn't connect the dots. You're absolutely right.
I mean, we watch it again right now. It sounds exactly like him. So I mean, if they ever need to,
I can't not hear that now.
If they ever go back and need to redub, just call Hugh Laurie and say, "Hey, could you do Cumberbatch for a sec?"
You are the worst.
But we'll see the next trailer and see if they give us any more. It'll be interesting also if it weathers the whitewashing storm and how Marvel is able to. Let's see if it sticks to Marvel the way it sticks to other movies. Something tells me Marvel is still kind of made of Teflon and nothing really bothers them. But it is a serious issue for some people casting non-Asian actors in Asian roles. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out because it is a big deal to some. I don't know enough about the characters to really have an opinion otherwise, but it is an issue for some people.
All right, Mike. I know we've just discussed his origin at length, but based on that trailer, I mean, does it look appealing? What do you think of the trailer?
It's got promise. If it goes along the lines that I'm thinking it's going to, where it's again, as you put it, the tale of redemption. Then yeah, it's something everyone can identify with, which is sort of what Ant-Man was as well. Mm. So right.
Most of those stories are. Sure. Mm-hmm. They're very similar.
In fact, even Iron Man.
Yeah, they're all very similar in that vein.
So that's if it's that sort of film, then it's definitely in line with Marvel's been putting out recently, and it'll land. I think it's gonna do well. It could get a little too artsy for its own sake. We could be seeing an Ang Lee Hulk type of situation here.
Yeah,
which
because I mean,
it'll have a good story. It'll have the the bones to be a solid property, but just gets a little too artsy for its own sake, and just loses the audience. I mean, you can only sit through so many dream sequences and visions and weird trippy shit going on before people just are like, what the hell am I looking at?
He's the master of the mystical arts, so I mean, there's gotta be.
You gotta expect a little of it, but
Right.
you don't want to send people too far down that rabbit hole.
Yeah, but look at Harry Potter. I mean, that the magic aspect had a large.
Oh yeah, I mean, if we're talking about just like doing spells, I'm okay with that.
Right.
That. But if we're spending the better part of the film like on the astral plane,
Right.
like if we're 30 minutes on the astral plane, we're just like memories are floating past him, like we've seen that in 1,000 films. I'm not gonna dig that. You're gonna lose the audience. They're gonna be like, what the hell is?
Yeah,
he doing?
it may flop on like Constantine, which wasn't Tilda in that movie too.
She
was an angel.
Lucifer.
Gabriel.
Gabriel.
But I mean, Constantine kind of flopped at the theaters, I think, right?
It found its audience in the
It's a bit of a
aftermarket.
cult.
Afterwards.
It's a bit of a cult
Right.
hit, but yeah, I mean, it was not highly received.
Right. I mean, strange. I mean, it's on magic. I mean, this could go along the same way, maybe same magical path. You think?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, you got your fans of the genre.
The
Which I think-
superhero or
Well,
magic?
but Constantine kind of slants a bit more to the occult, whereas I think Doctor Strange is
Absolutely the
is it
occult.
the same also?
Yeah.
I'm not 100%. Like I said, I didn't
not
know
as-
that he was
it's
more of
not
a
as dark.
demon. If he was like a demon hunter, because
It's not-
Constantine comes across more as like a demon hunter,
Constantine
more like Supernatural, the movie.
the show.
is a sorcerer.
No, but Constantine.
Yeah, Constantine is a sorcerer and he's broken. He's a broken human being. There was never any redemption. Anything good that he ever did was only in his own self-interest.
But the
which is
pow-
why
but-
he's actually kind of cool, because it seems like he wants to do well, but for the bad reasons, and sometimes it works out and he's like patting himself on the back, but that old saying, a pat on the back is only 18 inches from a kick in the ass. That ends up happening to him over and over and over.
But the power, like the abilities, like I mean, what Doctor Strange is able to do.
Is way closer to Harry Potter than
Okay, that's what
than
that's
anything.
my
It's-
that's my question, and maybe that's why
It's
I
like
think
actual physical magic, whereas Constantine might cast a spell and make you spill the beans on something you don't want to. That
Right.
sort of thing.
And I think maybe that's why it was able to find its audience, is because it's very similar to the subject matter of Supernatural, which is extremely popular, and those types of shows that deal with monsters and demons
Right, and
and
again,
stuff
those
like
guys aren't sorcerers, but they know this odd
that. And
incantation
there's some
or
spells
two
and here and
to
that,
get a demon out of
black
somebody's
magic
body.
or demon magic or whatever they call it. So it'll be interesting to see if the Doctor Strange magic, this kind of melding of dimensions and worlds flipping on top of themselves, if that's going to be, like you said, way too dense maybe for some movie viewers.
Yeah, it might end up like skewing kind of like a Sorcerer's Apprentice with Jay Baruchel and then Nicolas Cage. A lot of
that was a bit
lot
of
of fun magic stuff happened, but
that was too
kitty.
Disney, too
Yeah.
kitty.
So it can go off the rails real easy. This is like the same fear they had when they were gonna make Yoda fight in the prequels. They're like, okay, this can be unintentionally hilarious if we're not careful. So the same goes for this film. If you're gonna do a film with a lot of magic in it, it can be silly. So you got to be really careful to make the magic mean something.
And it'll also be interesting to see if they're going to try, because this does not, based on the trailer, this is the first time that I can think, maybe even back to, I can't even think of one. This is the first time where we've been given absolutely zero humor in a Marvel trailer. Maybe,
not even a little
maybe
bit.
the first, maybe the first Civil War trailer, because they're trying to make us believe that they're not going to kiss and make up at the end. But this one was the first one that was, even the Marvel symbol was in black, it wasn't in red, and it was very kind of serious and somber. And it'll be interesting to see if there's any humor at all in this, because that's kind of their feather in their cap. And especially after all of the ire that befell Batman versus Superman for being such a serious movie and taking itself so seriously, it'll be interesting to see how this plays out. And because I've heard that Benedict is a bit of a comedian, that he is quite funny when he's allowed to be funny. And I don't know, I didn't get that vibe from this character.
This movie as having like zingers or anything.
Yeah, I don't think so either. So
I think they've made enough deposits into the funny account to where they can afford to do a dour film at this point. And people will forgive him that. It's like, okay, yeah, the rest of them are funny, but this one's not.
Possibly. It'll just be interesting to see how that plays out.
This will be the Batman Superman movie of the Marvel universe.
Well, it's just the one guy, so no.
Right. Well, in regards to tone.
And I'm also curious how they're going to connect it to the other the MCU, because
it'll probably be the usual name dropping.
Sam Jackson will show up at the
Well, it's slightly connected to
Doctor Strange. Do you want to join a superhero team?
It's slightly connected to Agent Carter.
Well,
did you watch Agent Carter?
no.
Oh yeah.
Remember when she the zero energy? That's supposedly the dark force, which I think
is actually.
Yeah, but okay. So, irregardless of that, the whole idea of how is he going to fit into the MCU, what is going to be his connection to it, will be interesting as well. And in the time, like, does it happen after Civil War? Does it happen before Civil War?
But they mentioned his name in one of the movies. Remember?
No.
Yeah, they dropped it very quickly.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it was like one of those things like, oh.
So wait a minute. If they
we got
dropped
Stephen
his name,
Strange now.
Did they drop his name as a sorcerer? Or did they drop his name as a doctor?
I think they were addressing something weird, and I'm gonna have to look this up after the fact. I feel like I should have been armed with this information. But his name was dropped in reference to
the sorcerer,
to sorcery of some sort.
Then this is a prequel,
or superheroes. Like a superhero registry, wasn't it? Like in
Captain
America 2?
His name dropped down that list.
Okay, so then so this is gonna be a prequel. Then this is gonna take place before those movies.
Yes, because we're seeing his origin.
It has to, because if he's already an established name, Doctor Strange or whatever they called him in that movie,
right,
then what we're going to see now is what happened before. And then I guess at some point Sam Jackson will knock on his door, right. And then he's like, "We're going to need your help for something."
Actually, wouldn't it be Coulson at this point? Because
isn't he dead in the MCU though? They have not brought him back to life in the MCU, even though
what the hell is up with that?
I don't know. Well,
why?
The Avengers still don't know to this moment that he's still alive.
I find that so impossible to believe.
That's why
he's very, very active.
And I think if Nick Fury goes visits Doctor Strange, you feel it coming, right? You feel it coming. I have to set it up.
All right.
It's like,
let us strap in here.
Stephen Strange, like, I'm not that kind of doctor. I'm not an eye doctor.
but you have the eye of Agamotto.
Okay. But I have the eye of Agamotto.
I'm sorry. I'm not that.
All right, so I think
doctor.
that wraps it up for our episode of Doctor Strange. So follow us on Facebook and Twitter. You can like and subscribe, comment. Where can we follow you? We haven't mentioned. Where can we follow you on Twitter?
Follow me on the THYD Show Twitter page, because I'm on there more often than not, finding news for you folks to put on our Facebook page. So if you're curious on the goings-on of the world and you can't be bothered to search CBR and Ain't It Cool News and all the other sites, I'm probably posting it on our Facebook page because I'm just that kind of guy.
And we have a website, right?
We do have a website that's not quite ready for prime time, but I will put a link in the description if you all want to check it out.
Yeah. And it's all of our episodes, basically.
Yeah, it's just a listing of everything. It's very bare bones, but I figured I'd build it for you guys so you found one solid place to find everything in case you happen to not want to go to YouTube or something.
But we're active on Facebook and Twitter, I think.
Absolutely, yes.
Sure. And where can we follow you if you casually check into your Twitter?
I don't. I tried. It's not, it doesn't work for me. Or, I mean, not that it doesn't work, but it doesn't work for me. I'm usually just on YouTube or on Facebook as well.
Sure, but he's an admin on our Facebook.
Yeah, if you got any questions for Richard, by all means, drop him a line on the Facebook page. Right. We're all watching it, really. Yes. So if you got a question for me, Hank, or Richard, drop it down for us. We'd love to hear from you guys.
Yes. And I guess we'll catch you next time. Thanks.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.